All of a sudden, Caruso's just not coming back.
You know, the crazy thing is about it, this year was a short year. And then you put in all these new pieces.
Yeah.
You know, it's been different than had the same team they had last year. They had a little, continuity going on. But this is a totally different team from last year. They don't have the same team. And now they go out, they don't have practice time. They plan every other day. They get a big acquirement with Drummond. He comes in rage. And there's so many things that happen. They never came together. And you have to come together as a team to form that fist. You know, you can slap me all day, but if you punch me with a fist, it's going to hurt. And they never came together as that fist. It was just always a slap. And you got to have that when it comes to playoff time. You got to have that continuity. You got to have that togetherness. And they never came together. Think about this. They had so many lineups. I've never seen this many lineup changes in a playoff game. First game, it's changed. It was no consistency on the coaching staff side, no consistency on the player side from being injured and being, COVID. So it was just an inconsistent year.
At what point when you saw AD start this game did you know it wasn't going to last long?
When they put a camera on him, his face was grimacing the whole way down the court. I was like, it's a wrap.
Yeah. Gave it a go, but lasted only 5 minutes. All right, let's get you to the highlights. 8 of 10 from 3, 11 rebounds. Jay Crowder with 18 on 6 of 9 from 3. LeBron James finishes with 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. Let's hear from Frank Vogel. He's speaking with Mike in the media.
What are your thoughts on AD starting the game? They're clearly struggling movement-wise, and what you were seeing with how that played out in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a warrior. You know, he tried to get out there and play through what was going to be, we knew was going to be difficult for him to be able to move. You know, he did everything he could from a treatment standpoint to loosen it up, and was hoping that some in-game adrenaline would also help with it. But certainly wasn't moving well at all to start the game, and then went down, grabbing it at that one point early in the first.
Phoenix obviously got off to that big lead. Frank, how much of that did you see in terms of the personnel changes and the system changes you had to make without AD? And how did you deal with that throughout the rest of the quarter?
Well, yeah, I mean, credit to Suns, right? I mean, they came out and made, I think, their first 7 threes or 6 out of 7 threes or something like that. Crowder made 3. Booker was red hot to start the game. And obviously it just put us in the deficit, and it was too much for us to overcome.
All good. Frank, what do you think, or when do you think the team turned it on a little bit in the second half? What sparked it, do you think, and how much of it was with that? Had to do with that small lineup that you went to with LeBron at center?
Yeah, well, I think that's the lineup that turned it around. I think we started a little bit with Mark. We just had to find a way to shut Booker's water off. I mean, the guy was just red hot, and we tried to take the ball out of his hands in every way that we're capable of, and we were prepared with a lot of different double teams, and to do that, the best lineup out there is a small lineup where five smalls can basically rotate, or keep or Bron at the 5 can double and then full rotate around the horn, and we were able to generate some defensive stops, get us out on a break, and then there's offensive spacing benefit to that lineup as well. Had our best quarter in that third on both sides of the ball, but obviously we just fell short.
And Wiki?
Frank, I guess kind of a bigger picture question. Now that you're here, and kind of it feels like the end of a journey that started 2+ years ago, when you got hired. What was the message, I guess, to your group after you've been on this crazy road together and now can actually step back and exhale?
Yeah, just, I don't want to divulge too much of what I said to our guys, but basically that I'm proud of them. We've been through a lot. We had a lot to overcome, and I was proud of them for fighting all the way to the end, and staying together throughout.
Frank, as you reflect on this season over the coming months, are there things that you feel like could have been done differently, or is this just a result of bad luck and bad timing on injuries and things that were kind of beyond your control?
Well, I just think the whole thing was a challenge, to play all the way into October and then to start the season as quickly as we did. It was just going to be an uphill battle. None of our guys were prepared, for training camp, and we tried to grind through it, and get our legs under us and get them conditioned the right way. We made moves. The front office made moves. We tried to manage and navigate through injuries as a coaching staff. Just trying to strike that right balance of keeping guys in there and building them up the right way. And ultimately, the injuries that we faced were just too much. With AD and Bron being out for as long as they were, and trying to strike that cohesiveness against a great team, quite frankly. The Phoenix Suns, second best record in the NBA for a reason. This is a matchup. If we're whole, it should probably take place in the conference finals. But obviously, the regular season was what it was with injuries, and we slipped. So, we have to take it in the first round. And, I would like to see what our group could have done against this team if we were at full strength. But we weren't. And, that's sports, and we just got to do the best we can, make the best of it. And like I said, I was proud of how our guys fought through the injuries.
Hey, Frank, considering the championship credo of this organization and the back-to-back goal of this specific group, did you feel like you had a group, if things went the right way, would have been capable of reaching your goal? And what, outside of talking about the decisions that Rob has to make and all that, what do you think has to happen to get back to that mountaintop next year?
Well, what happens next and what I think needs to happen next will all be discussed over the coming weeks. But I do think we had a group that could repeat this year had not been for the injuries. We were 21-6 when Anthony Davis goes down, and then Bron goes down shortly after that. It basically derailed our run, and we did everything we can to fight through that, but ultimately it wasn't enough.
Time for one last question. Rashad Nealon.
Hey, Coach. You kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but is it kind of tough to wrap your head around just how quickly this series changed? And is that sort of like a culmination of just what this season has been like for you?
Yeah, that's the playoffs. Playoffs change in a heartbeat. Momentum changes overnight with one game, with one shot, one possession, one injury. And, that's just the way the NBA playoffs are. But it's a disappointing feeling for sure. It's gut-wrenching. And, we'll get back to the drawing board. We'll take some time away and, turn our attention to next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, tough turnaround. You see the 2020 conference finalists, Lakers eliminated, Heat eliminated, Celtics eliminated, but you got to give it up for the Nuggets, losing their two starting guards, including Jamal Murray, and they find a way to beat the Blazers in 6 games. Really impressive. Let's go right back to Staples Center. AD is now speaking with Mike in the media.
Hey, Anthony, it was pretty obvious how much the groin was hampering you early. Could you just take us through what it felt like and what was your mindset and how you were trying to figure out if you were going to be able to stay and do anything on either end?
Just wanted to be out there for the team, in a situation, want to go home. Obviously didn't want to just lay down and not be able to do what I can. It never really felt good, but like I say, I once about just the competitive nature in me to go out and help the team, as best as I could. My body didn't agree, so team fought. We fought. Made runs. Guys left it all out on the floor. tonight, and you know, we get ready for next year. You know, we get ready to have a full off season. Everyone heal up. You know, especially the guys that say you hurt a lot this year. Heal your bodies, rest your bodies, and get ready for next season. That's all we can do. That's what I'm going to do. Let the body heal and get right back to it.
Frank had mentioned a moment ago when you guys were 21-6 when you went down with the original injury in February. AD, could you just zoom out and discuss the October 11th finals, the shortened off season, that injury, getting back for it, how that all fit into context for you personally?
It was a quick turnaround. You don't really get the full summer. Usually take about a month or so off, and you still have like 6 weeks to just do all, weight room training. And then you have another month and a half for on court. So you didn't get that this summer. Kind of mess up guys' routines where you're trying to recover from a season and then also get ready for a season. So it was different. And just all around the league, guys' bodies didn't handle that very well. But now that, we have the opportunity as the Lakers to kind of take advantage of, this longer off season to get our bodies right. I know I am. Heal up, rest, and get right back to the training to prepare for next season. So it was a different thing with us, but it's something that, we had to adjust to. Not sure what the plan is for next season as far as, COVID test and when the season is supposed to start. But all we can do is know, that we have to, get healthy. I think health played a big part of why we're in the position that we're in. Me missing 30 games, Bron missing an extensive amount of games, and, AC, Kenny, all our guys, Kuz, all our guys just, we just wasn't healthy. We were very healthy last year. And it wasn't the same this year. And, we just couldn't have our full product on the floor.
Laura?
AD, it sounds like you just chalked this up to the health and the injuries this year. Was this team connected enough and cohesive enough to, in your mind, win a championship if not for the injuries?
I think so. When we were healthy, everyone was available. We've seen the type of team that we can be. Before, my injury, we were 21-6, like Mike said. So we were rolling. We had the pieces. We just, couldn't stay healthy. A lot of that, was me. We have a main guy that's not on the floor, and then you have another guy. Your two main guys is not able to participate. It's just tough for an extensive amount of time. So that's all it really was. I think the team that we built this summer, we had the right pieces to do so. I think just health just played a big factor.
Dave McMenamin?
You came to LA aware of what the injuries you sustained in New Orleans, how they had an effect on the perception of you around the league. And you pushed through a lot last year, won the championship. The way this year went, all over again a little bit?
No. I don't have to prove nothing to anyone. And I'm not going to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't matter to me. Things that everyone is saying, they come to the territory. When you're a player of my caliber, guys are going to expect things from you and going to say things from you. Whatever their reason is it's my job to be on the floor. And I know what I go through, what I play through, and what my body go through. The guys in the locker room know. Front office know, coaching staff know. So I don't need to prove anything to anyone that's outside of this Lakers organization. And I'm not going to prove anything to anyone. My job is to play basketball and be out there on the floor as much as I can. And I think the Achilles injury was obviously nothing that I'm going to, play with. It's such a big injury. And then what happened in Game 3 was just a freak accident, hyperextension of the knee, and played through that for the rest of the four. A play that happened, with the groin because of the knee. You just can't try. You just try to play through it and do what you can. That's what I did, and guys in the locker room know. But my job is not to prove anything to anyone that's not in this locker room or in this organization. And I'm not going to. I don't have to.
Dan Warkey.
Anthony, obviously, this team paid a physical toll for the short off season last year. The strain you guys had to put your bodies through in the bubble. What was the mental toll that this team had to pay for going through what you guys went through, and then having not only to deal with the injuries and stuff like that, but also the protocols, the testing, the compressed schedule? How emotionally tough was this year for you guys?
It was definitely tough. I want to say the protocols and stuff. I think just not having our full team because of guys had COVID or injuries. I think that was the most mentally draining thing for us. Because when you have a full team, when we had our full team, we saw how good we were, and then not being able to have it for a lot this season, it was just tough for us because we knew the type of team that we could be when we're healthy. So I think mentally that was the biggest thing for us. Nothing else, not the shorter off season, or the compressed schedule. Because everyone else had to go through it as well, even though their off season was a little longer. I think for us it was just we wasn't able to really take advantage of our full team and the team that we know that we could be. So I think that was the most mentally draining thing for us.
Now, some will say that's because he's 36 in year 18, and maybe they'll be right. I think it's more likely when we saw him just 9 months ago, when he was almost 36 in year 17, dominate a finals, that he was never even close to 75% off the ankle. But with AD playing well for 2 games in this series, and then being hurt, as Brandon unfortunately kind of predicted, and LeBron not looking anything like any version of LeBron we've seen in the playoffs for a decade, Lakers were cooked. And Devin Booker, going NBA Jam on fire certainly didn't help. So that's what happened. It's not that complicated, and I do give Brandon credit, and I think this is where, and I'm not trying to filibuster here, Brandon, but let me be sincere here for a moment. The whole idea of this show and a lot of these shows are, you have a guy like me who studies everything and watches everything and learns it that way, and a guy like you who watches and studies, but a lot of your experience comes from having done it. And you as the athlete who has been banged up, who has seen when a guy's body isn't right, you were far more concerned than I was willing to be that Anthony Davis just ain't going to be right this year. And that was crystal clear this postseason, particularly last night.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you deal with injuries like that and you got a fragile guy, I hate to say it this way, but a mindset that can be fragile and the body can be fragile. You put both of those together with the year he's having, it's a recipe for disaster. But here's the deal, Nick. I want to go back to your LeBron James point. LeBron James can have the same exact year, all right, with Anthony Davis playing at extremely high level. The Anthony Davis play that we saw in the bubble bubble last year and they win a championship. That's probably the most frustrating thing for LeBron right now is he knows he's to the end. This is his last act. And you see Anthony Davis hit the big shot in the bubble. You see Anthony Davis down the stretch put up 30 points, 10 rebounds, a couple assists, get a couple of steals, couple blocks. And then this year you're just waiting on that. Because what we said last year, what we said before this year is it's time for them to ascend and go to another for LeBron James to evolve. LeBron James should be Magic Johnson at this point. He should be able to win another championship or two, Wilds, being that facilitator, being that leader. But it had to be all on his shoulder. So the answer is, the biggest reason why they lost this series is because of AD, right? What Nick just said and what I've been saying all year, inconsistent. His play when he was healthy, and then being unhealthy and being unpredictable there. And then the second thing is this. The Suns were the better team, given all this stuff the Lakers was going through. Coming into this series, they were the better team. Hats off to CP3. Flowers to CP3, Wilds. He took this organization and transformed them in the 70 days, 80 days. Think about that. That is magical.
Okay, so first, before I talk to you, Brandon, or you, Jenna, or you, Nick, I'd like to talk to the audience. Stay tuned, because what you have right now is the beginning of a LeBron marathon. And we saw Nick come out in mile 1, just a little 9-minute pace. Just check it out. Oh, I'm here. Don't worry, everybody. You know what? Hats off to Brandon. Good job. Hey, you know what? No big deal. Hey, no, we should appreciate it. It's all good. Stay tuned. It is going to turn on to a full-on sprint, everybody, with what? Gatorade, you're throwing on yourself. Full-on sprint. So stay tuned. It's a feel-out game. Because, Nick, I think you did touch on the feel-out, just like this. Yeah. It's a little like Mahomes back there. Okay.
Yeah, that's why my dad was.
I think you did touch on the biggest question, right? Because we know the what, the Lakers lost. So now we get to the so what. What does this actually mean? And the question is this a blip or is this a trend? Is LeBron going to be back looking like the king, being awesome, dunking and distributing and hitting threes now? Or is this not the beginning of the end? Are we sort of in chapter 2 of the end? I thought Mark Stein went up to 10,000 feet and said, hey, let's look at the last 3 years of LeBron's tenure here. We missed the playoffs, won a chip, and now lost in the first round. And we know that he's been the greatest human walking the earth at playing basketball for over 2 decades. But there's also an emphasis on the word human. We know that he finished not too many shots at the rim, Nick. He didn't get to the line a lot. He hit a lot of threes. So optimistically, we're seeing a new LeBron. This is like, you're in your kind of, Larry Johnson phase where you used to be this dominant physical force and now you're making 4-point plays. Pessimistically. LeBron. Well, I call Larry Johnson because you guys took an L too, so it's like a nice combo.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah.
But optimistically, we saw how LeBron is going to play, and I think he could play till he's 40 like this. So I guess the big question for me is, coming out of this, do you feel pessimistic about LeBron's future to win the championship and chase Jordan, or do you feel optimistic that we saw a blueprint from how he can continue his legacy?
Well, he obviously got closer to Jordan last night because now he only needs 2 more first-round exits. He'd need to be swept in those to match Jordan's first-round. I told you, but that's neither here nor there. Listen, I would be pessimistic if I hadn't seen not only the bubble, but what he was first or second in the MVP race until Solomon Hill hurdled himself into his ankle like a rodeo clown. So I do think now, to Stein's point, for 15 years, LeBron never got hurt. And then in year 16, he got hurt. In year 18, he got hurt. So the question to me isn't as much how good is he still. It is how will he be able to repel injuries that obviously come more often later in their career. And lastly, Brandon mentioned CP3. Obviously, he was my MVP. But also, we can't go the first 10 minutes of the show and not say Devin Booker was the best guy in this series. Devin Booker was spectacular. Yeah. Devin Booker was in a playoff series where LeBron James on the other side and Devin Booker outplayed him. And last night, and in Game 5, he ended those games by his first quarter performances alone. And he deserves massive credit. When you see Luka outplaying Kawhi, Ja in their game outplayed Steph, and Dragonfly Jones mentioned this, and now Devin outplayed LeBron, it's like, oh, out west, the young guys are saying, we might have now, fellas. This might be our time. And so Devin Booker deserves a ton of credit for that.
And we'll have much more on Devin Booker still to come. Fantastic last night. Fantastic series from Dame Lillard. It wasn't enough, though. Blazers.
Ooh, it's naked.
The Naked Chicken Chalupa, only at Taco Bell.
Ideas exist inside you, electrify you. They grow from our imagination, but they can't be held back. They want to be set free, to make the world more responsible and even more incredible. Ideas start the future, just like that.
We've never been so ready to get back out there. And with Copper Tone Sport, we can reclaim the boulders, the backwoods, and the breakers. Copper Tone Sport. Find your sun.
Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale has been extended. Right now, save up to $500 on our top-rated brands when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99 on ceiling. Hurry into Mattress Firm.
After being locked in that vault for years, we've finally done it. Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar. Ralph?
So is this why you never texted back?
Yes, that's why.
I would have understood. Oh, it's perfect.
I know. I made it.
We made it.
We made it.
She made it. Group project. She made it. Is this the guy?
The zero you deserve is finally here.
There's a lot of talk about getting back to the way things were. But what does that mean? Does it mean getting back out here to feed the world? Is it about getting back to this commute? This community? Or this ingenuity? For the folks who run with us, there is no going back. Because they've never stopped working towards a better tomorrow. Together, we run forward.
Find your rhythm, your happy place. Find your breaking point. Then break it. Every emergency gives you a potent blend of nutrients, so you can emerge your best with Emergency.
It's an important time to save. With Priceline, you can get up to 60% off amazing hotels. And when you get a big deal, you feel like a big deal. Priceline. Every trip is a big deal.
Excitement is building for the Girl Scout Thin Mints Blizzard exclusively at DQ. It's an iconic combo of pieces of Thin Mints cookies, Cool Mint, and world-famous DQ vanilla soft serve. Every bite is a sweet feat of ingenuity. Get it delivered at DQ.com.
This is Undisputed.
Back here, first things first, time for Butt First. So yesterday, we learned that Bruce Arians consulted with Tom Brady ahead of this year's NFL draft about wide receivers. So think about it. Arians is like, hey, Brady, who do you want? Who do you like? How fast? How tall? You want AB? Okay. You need Gronk? You got it. Are there 3 downs, 4 downs? Who cares? Almost tossed the Lombardi in the waterway? No problem. Got drunk at the parade in front of the whole world? Boom, jackpot. Now let's compare that to the Green Bay Packers situation with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is like to management, hey, would it be at all possible if maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, and no pressure, I'm like thinking out loud, maybe we can get like, I don't know, like a wide receiver or some kind of pass catcher or something. Packers are like, hey, Aaron, not only won't we, we're drafting your replacement, and we're not going to tell you about it, and we canceled our online Jeopardy subscription into the stadium. Good luck, buddy. See you at minicamp next week. Better show up or you're going to get fined. Bye-bye.
Jeopardy. Hey, I know everyone's on my phone saying, crush Nick Wright. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give you NFL season's around the corner, so I decided to add a little Chiefs highlights. Hey, mid-season form for the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, who can no longer do his deuces celebration because he got stolen from him in the Super Bowl, celebrating with your new offensive lineman, Orlando Brown. So it's always good. Here's something else. I know you also like DeAndre Hopkins. Let's head out to Arizona. Look at DeAndre Hopkins. Look at this catch. Oh, DeAndre Hopkins. See, that's fun, Nick. It's not all about the Lakers. And finally, the gift that keeps on giving. He's going to be the Grand Marshal at a Detroit road race. So he showed up to his press conference looking beautiful. Dan Campbell, you're my favorite coach in the NFL, second favorite to the obviously legendary Bill Belichick. But Nick, football's around the corner. I wanted to give you a little olive branch, cheer you up a little bit. When you got great plays like that, great coaches like Dan Campbell, there's a bright sports horizon in your future.
I wish I could punch Lyles in his stupid.
Why be nice?
I want to wrap it up. No, you're not. I know what you're doing, and it's
Phoenix
making
orange.
me angry.
It's Sun's orange.
Yes,
Phoenix orange. Phoenix orange. Oh, God, dog it, Jenna.
Dame and the Blazers got eliminated by the Nuggets last night in Game 6. Dame Lillard posting a Nipsey Hussle lyric on IG after the game said, quote, how long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation? We discussed whether that was a haiku this morning. Brandon, Dame's IG post was blank.
Finally facing reality, Jenna. I get it. I understand it. Look, the last 4 to 5 playoff appearances for them, they've been bounced in the first round. That's not good. I don't think there's anybody out there that thought in the last 5 to 10 years that, oh, this is the year the Blazers are going to win the title. This is the year. This definitely is the year. Now, Dame is phenomenal. We all know that. But everybody knows that, man, he may just be a little loyal, too loyal. Now, he's gained a lot of respect around the league, around, the sports world. But it's time for him to face the reality and see what can be waiting for him on the other side. Now, when I was playing ball, I was similar to this, because he also went on to say, when will opportunity meet preparation? So that told me a lot about who he is and what he's thinking about. It's like, look, if I just put my head down and work, I can potentially break through. But the reality is, man, in the NBA, you need 2-3 guys besides you that can get it done each and every night. And unfortunately, it's just you that you can count on. So he's facing reality, Nick.
Yeah, listen, this is unfortunately ominous for the Blazers because Dame I don't think it was about Game 6. Listen, if we're being fair, the Blazers blew Game 6. They had a 14-point lead late into the third quarter, and never in the history of basketball has a team been so reliant on such a decidedly average-ish player as they are on Yusuf Nurkic. Never seen anything like it in my life. It's like, well, if Nurkic is out of the game, we just have no chance. Like, okay, well, that means your roster's not that good. But he could have posted this IG after Game 5. It's what we talked about. When you have the type of game he had in Game 5, and you lose, it makes you question everything. And so if you're a Blazers fan, I don't think Dame's going to pull a James Harden as far as the way Harden went about things. That's not who he's ever been. But I do think you have to be concerned that James Harden is going to go to Neil O'Shea or whomever replaces him if he's gone and says, man, I don't know if this will work here. And so it sucks, but it looks like that train's coming down the tracks, Wilds.
Okay, I've got two emotional answers. I'll first start with this rap lyric. You got Nipsey Hussle. I'll give you Dipset. Welcome to New York City. Welcome to New York City. I won't do the whole thing. Cam comes on. So, come on down to New York. Well, you saw the Garden rocking. You know that New York is on the wave. Oh, there's Dipset. You can do a remix with Dipset. Dips are back. Or here's a way for you to go, because I think, and Nick, I want to ask you this question. We know that Dame is so loyal. I don't think he wants to, scorn Portland when he's built a lot of his reputation and career earnestly by, loving Portland, staying there.
Yeah.
What if he said, you know what? I want to go home. I want to go to the Bay. I want to play with the Warriors. I feel like that's an okay thing that everybody in the NBA, man, a loyal guy make that. They send Wiseman, they send their picks, and all of a sudden you've got three monster shooters on that squad.
You want to? No. There's only one way it doesn't scorn Portland is if they get a real return. And if you're Dame and you want to extend this, what about playing with Zion? They got all those picks. They got Brandon Ingram, who you can theoretically build around. That's something. Golden State won't work. But New Orleans could if Dame believes Zion is going to be a super-duper star. So that maybe would work. Then what are they going to trade? What are they going to trade?
Tell your boy LeBron James to make something happen, man. He's in the general manager season now. He just got bounced for the playoffs. Yeah, figure. No. Keep AD. Put him on ice for the summer.
Well, then they can't make it happen.
LeBron
back to LA. Star last night, Devin Booker balling.
We'll take him in
Finished
Brooklyn.
47 in the Game 6 closeout win over the Lakers. You have too many jerseys already, Brandon, from Brooklyn. Then after the game, LeBron signed, speaking of jerseys, LeBron signed a jersey for the young superstar.
That was good, Jenna. That was good.
In the Suns series with the Nuggets. You can only wear 5 at any given time. You want 6. Brandon, Booker's performance last night was blank.
It was water. I mean, it was amazing from the start. You had Crowder come out, knock down a couple threes. He hit a 3. You saw it in his eyes. I mean, I don't even know if he ever touched the rim. It felt like I was watching, my cousins play NBA Jam. Remember that game back in the day where they say he's heating up, and then he's on fire. I mean, it seemed like this dude was making shots with his eyes closed. The NBA is in a good position. You got this young Booker who's phenomenal. I know Zion's not in the playoffs, but he will soon. You just talked about him and Dame potentially teaming up. You got Mitchell. You got Ja Morant. Man, these young dudes are ready. And like you said, Nick, they're saying my time is now.
That's right. I mean, this is how stars are made. Guess what? Guess what Devin Booker, if he didn't already know it, learned yesterday? 47 in a playoff elimination game is worth about 5 70-point regular season performances for a bad team. Devin Booker scored 70 a couple years ago, and nobody cared for more than 12 hours. But that game last night, that's how you become an NBA star. On the biggest stage, in the playoffs, showing up like that. Devin Booker, superstar, possibly, let's see him in the next round. Unquestioned star of this league, one of the stars of this league, pardon me, no doubt about it, after last night.
My answer is anger-inducing. Game getting out of hand, pretty much over. Devin Booker on the break decides to throw down a big dunk. 50. And you know who didn't like it? The Lakers bench. Hey, why'd you do that? We're the only ones allowed to celebrate on Jay Crowder. He said, what's up? What's up? You guys are going home. So congratulations, Devin Booker. Also, speaking of poor sportsmanship, LeBron bounced, didn't shake anybody's hands. It's a crime when Tom Brady does it. If LeBron does it, it's fine. NBA posted.
He did not shake anybody's hand. That's not accurate.
Keep the segment going.
It's not accurate.
Okay. Is that true?
Hold on. We got to get to this. Wild's Weird and Wonderful. Fernando Tatis Jr. at it again. 17th home run last night to the deepest part of Petco Park. Padres beat the Mets 4-3. Pretty wonderful stuff from one of baseball's home run leaders. Wilds, what else you got for us?
You know what? You got to persevere even when you're wrong, because sometimes you might be right. That's how I do this show. Seager slides into third. He's like, I'm out. Well, no big deal. I'll leave. No, buddy, you were safe. You bailed out. He ends up being called safe because it's such an egregious error. But hey, never leave the base. Make them drag you off it. That's the new rule. And then moving on to the wonderful. This didn't happen yesterday. It happened the other day. Joe Kelly, national treasure, playing paper rock scissors with a fan. We've had so many horrible fan moments, but this is one of the fantastic ones. Great job by Joe Kelly. Great job by the Dodgers. And that's
awesome.
Who calls
the
it
weird and
paper,
wonderful
rock,
from the
scissors?
national pastime.
You weirdo. And I sent you this video. I wish I didn't.
Dude, I'm on 45 minutes sleep.
I now
Always
wish I
rock,
did.
paper,
Some slack.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk some Lakers.
I'm angry.
They're gone, bounced. Was it a mistake, guys, for the Lakers to
Yeah,
play
we
an
know,
injured Anthony Davis last night? I know. I'm just reminding you in case you
Spoiler
forgot.
alert. Yes.
Your nightmare
It was
to
a
be
mistake.
discussed again next. First thing, 5 minutes.
Like
the guy
me
left.
sending Wilds that cool vid.
Saturday is Baseball Night in America on Fox. Football is gone. When the Sox face the Yanks, it's game on. This is more than just a battle for the division. It's for bragging rights in the AL East. Diving catch. The game's a bit bigger. The shots go further. Because this is the biggest rivalry in sports. Judge! Wow! Baseball Night in America. Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Excitement is building for the Girl Scout Thin Mints Blizzard exclusively at DQ. It's an iconic combo of pieces of Thin Mints cookies, Cool Mint, and world-famous DQ vanilla soft serve. Every bite is a sweet feat of ingenuity. Get it delivered at DQ.com.
What if we were wrong this whole time? Wrong in thinking that joy happens only at the end, after the sacrifice, after the win. What if happiness has always been there, fueling the run toward greatness? What if joy is the whole game, not just the end game?
Can I kick it? Can I kick it? It feels so good to be cared for. Back up now, just a little more. The feeling someone's always there, just to show how much they care. The feeling you're not alone. Now she's a part of your home, with so much to protect each day. Caring goes a long, long way. Nationwide is on your side.
Keeping your oyster business growing has you swamped. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/promo.
Hey, you want to get out of here? We've got you. During Expedia Travel Week, save 20% or more on thousands of hotels. Just book between June 8th and 12th to plan your escape with Expedia. Expedia. It matters who you travel with.
After being locked in that vault for years, we've finally done it. Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar.
Ralph?
So is this why you never texted back?
Yes, that's why.
I would have understood. Oh, it's perfect.
I know. I made it.
We made it.
We made it.
She made it. Group project. She made it. Is this the guy?
The zero you deserve is finally here.
He's checking for termites. Horrible creatures. Very nice. Look at the cut of those khakis. Who doesn't love a man in uniform?
A couple big things I wish more men understood about ED. The first is how common it is. It happens to the majority of men at some point in time in their life. And that it's something that they shouldn't feel shame or embarrassment about it for a single second. Roman, let's take care of it.
This isn't just freight. These aren't just shipments. They're promises.
Promises of all shapes and sizes, each with a time and a place they've been promised to be. A promise is everything to Old Dominion because it means everything to you.
Excitement is building for the Girl Scout Thin Mints Blizzard exclusively at DQ. It's an iconic combo of pieces of Thin Mints cookies, Cool Mint, and world-famous DQ vanilla soft serve. Every bite is a sweet feat of ingenuity. Get it delivered at DQ.com.
First Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Back to our top story this morning. Lakers on the brink of elimination facing the Phoenix Suns. Anthony Davis back in the lineup. Only for about 5 minutes, he had to leave again with that groin. It didn't matter because of a guy named Devin Booker who went off last night. Unstoppable, 47 points to help the Suns as they win. LeBron eliminated in round one for the first time ever. Here was Anthony Davis after the loss.
Just wanted to be out there for the team, in a situation, win or go home. Obviously didn't want to just lay down and not be able to do what I can. It never really felt good, but like I say, once God just took competitive nature and me to go out and help the team as best as I could. My body didn't agree.
So, Nick, let me ask you, do you think the Lakers would have been better off just not playing Anthony Davis last night?
This is one of the most remarkable and indefensible things I've seen a team medical staff do in professional sports. Let me be clear here. I'm not arguing that if Anthony Davis had just been ruled out, the Lakers would have won. We don't know. I do know that they lost the game in the first quarter. The rest of the game, they played actually quite well. They won the remaining quarters, and the first quarter, though, they got absolutely crushed. I mean, Booker was unstoppable. The Lakers had their worst defensive quarter and their worst offensive quarter simultaneously in their biggest quarter of the season, and the game was essentially over from there. But, Brandon, you and I sent almost an identical tweet at the same time without talking to each other, which was... Right. You and I both said 90 seconds into the game, he's not going to make it out of the quarter. You could see it immediately. And as a guy who's gone through, game time decisions, albeit a different sport, pregame warmups, how on earth could the team doctors have watched him move and said, you can play? It was clear to everyone. Right. Grant Hill on the broadcast, Harlan, though I'm sure it was clear to the Suns. This guy can't move. He's grabbing his groin every time up and down the court. He's ginger. How does a guy like that get cleared to play?
Right. I mean, that's a tough decision. And you got to also see the player's side. I go back to my Miami Dolphins days, Nick, playing against the Chicago Bears Thursday night football. I go across the middle on a 20-yard in cut. You got Lance Briggs coming to take my head off. I catch the ball in midair, spin while I'm in the air, and I come down, similar to what AD did, and my legs are just flared open, and I snap my hamstring, right? So then I'm out there, and they say, Brandon, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. I said, Coach, do not scratch me. Just give me until game time to make the decision. So anyways, we had that Thursday night game, so we had a 10-day resting period. So 10 days passed. I'm on the field trying to warm up. Coach Sperano's out there watching. He said, no, you're not good enough. He sat me down. I said, Coach, what are you talking about? We need this game. And he said, no, you're not good enough. As a player, I wanted to play, so I respect AD for that. One of the hardest things to play through as a player is any type of muscle strain. Like any movement, it can go like that. It can go from a mild to a grade 1, from a grade 1, Nick, to a grade 2, from a grade 2 to potentially needing surgery. So this was a big deal and possibly the worst decision Frank Vogel made all year. Now, AD went out there. Yes, you saw it from the beginning. He goes up, get a rebound. He's trying to guard Book. Come down on one leg. He's hopping. What are you doing? Take him out. Why did he have to take himself out? You saw the Suns' game plan against him, scheme. You saw CP3 go up to the top. Okay, let's pick. Let's get AD on me. He tried to make a move. Book made a move, and that's probably what sent them out of the game is when Book took him to the basket. Book didn't finish, but AD, you saw that he was hurt.
So, Wilds, I want to run a theory by you because this is going to sound conspiratorial, but I think it's actually the most logical conclusion here. So Charles Barkley called Anthony Davis street clothes, right? And there was a lot of commentary about Anthony Davis being soft. And I think Anthony Davis knew he could not go. And listen, I haven't talked to Anthony, obviously. I haven't talked to anybody close to him. This is just a theory. I think he knew he couldn't go, and he almost put himself out there so the world could see he couldn't go. Because if he had just not played, there would be some questions this morning. Should Anthony Davis have gutted through it? If they had lost and he had just not played the whole game, people be questioning him. Instead, at halftime, Barkley, who had been eviscerating him the 2 nights before, crushed the Lakers medical staff. Said they need new doctors. How do you put that kid out there? Totally was on his side. And so I think AD was trying to show the world, I'm hurt. But I don't know how you let a guy do that. Obviously, when it's a must-win game and the game got away from the first quarter. But I think that's what happened. I think he wanted everyone to see how hurt he was because he was taking so much flack about it.
I think the roots of this decision are pretty deep because if you look at Anthony Davis, he's NCAA champion, he's an NBA champion, but the one thing that people hit him on is that he's injury plagued. So I think he's like, you know what? Let me try to do it. Let me try to put everyone's doubt aside. Maybe, I think he was more optimistic. I don't think he went out there to just go and sit down. But also, you've seen the history of the NBA, when we talk about compromises, I think Willis Reed casts a long shadow on every injured player who's in a playoff game. We know that it's an all-time great moment, even though Willis did not have a statistically significant game. But the idea of him coming out of the tunnel and gutting through it feels very NFL-esque. But I thought, Nick, post-Durant Achilles, that the medical staff changed everything. I thought when they let Durant play, Durant said he could go, and they said, you know what, get out there, and he ends up snapping his Achilles, I felt like all medical teams drew everything back and got much more conservative. And that's why we saw Donovan Mitchell, who said he's ready to go, he said, you know what, you're not ready to go. And it was a real source of friction.
That's right.
Now, maybe they were right because Donovan's come out and played great. But I think that there's always a tension between the player and the medical staff. But if Anthony Davis said he wants to go out, the team doctor is not going to force him to sit because then we would be killing the medical staff. Like the player knows his own body. So if there's a dangerous compromise, Brandon, especially, and this is what I got very nervous about. I don't want to wish it into existence.
Right.
But when there's Achilles stuff, that's the one time you'd be like, no. Remember we were talking about Achilles? Sit down. We're not. You have to sit. It's too dangerous.
Anthony Davis. Yep. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Let's go back to KD. You brought up KD. The deal with KD was he looked good in pregame. He looked good in their pregame walkthrough. And then he went out there and he actually moved around great. And then all of a sudden it just went. You can see it in the replay. You can see it just spiral up his leg. With AD, Schroeder said after the game, he said, look, I respect him because this was a guy that could not even walk. This was a guy when we did our walkthrough before the game, he couldn't move. Frank Vogel was seeing all of that. So how do you put him out there? And here's the deal. It could be a good moment for AD because I do think that, as a player, there's some injuries you just got to deal with. It's inevitable. We all get injured. But there's some guys that can't push through. They got to learn how to push through. So this was good for AD to do that. But at the end of the day, it hurt your team because you went down 36-14 in the first quarter, like Nick said, Jenna. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, you even won the quarter or tied it. So you really lost that first quarter. And you saw AD. Everybody's sitting around watching AD. Is he okay? You can't put that in your teammate's head. So that was a bad move by Frank Vogel.
Also losing anyway.
All right, we got much more on that decision by the Lakers and what happened last night still to come. We got to hand out some medals, Nick. Your guy LeBron in what ended up being his last game of the season, 29-9-7 in that loss to the Suns. So no medal for the Kang, but who did make your playoff podium?
He didn't even make a medal?
I gave it only to winners. Yes, I didn't give LeBron a medal. He went playoff medalist for the playoffs. Bronze medal, Michael Porter Jr. He got this medal based on the first quarter alone. His final stat line's not that great, 26, 5, and 4. But he had 22 points and 6 threes in the first quarter. Remember this, 22 points and an NBA playoff record, 6 threes in the first quarter. Silver medal, Jokic, 36, 8, and 6. I said the Joker would average 35 a game against the Blazers. I was wrong. It was 33 a game. They have no answer for him whatsoever. The guy who used to be his teammate, Yusuf Nurkic, tried to guard him, did okay. No one else could. Joker was excellent all series. And now the gold medal, and here's why I said remember those numbers. Michael Porter Jr. gave you 22 points and 6 threes in the first quarter. 3 hours later, Devin Booker gave you 22 points and 6 threes in the first quarter. All of NBA history, no one had ever hit 6 threes in the first quarter of a playoff game. And then Michael Porter Jr. and Devin Booker did it on the same night within a couple hours of each other. Booker had a better rest of the game, obviously, 47 and 11, as he was the best player on the court. There are your medals. Devin Booker, by the way, he actually had, Booker actually had 45 points. That dunk at the end doesn't count. Right. Come on, Book. You know better than that. Don't do that. But he gets the gold medal.
I'm confused. Why isn't LeBron James up here? Didn't you say the last 2 days that he's getting closer to Michael Jordan by getting bounced in the first round? So why wouldn't you put LeBron James up here for getting bounced in the first round? It's closer than a goal.
Well, if we had a podium for getting swept out of the first round of the playoffs, MJ is certainly up there. LeBron would be getting closer. They're getting closer, but not there yet. It's the first time. He's got to do it a few more times.
All right, speaking of LeBron, how disappointed should he be after last night? We'll discuss next. But first, LeBron on his summer plans.
I think I'm gonna play for the Toon Squad this summer instead of the Olympics. I think that's my focus on trying to beat the Monstars or the Goon Squad, we call them now. So didn't have much success versus Suns. So now I am gearing my attention to the Goon Squad here in mid-July. So I'm gonna let the ankle rest for about a month, and then I'm gonna gear up with Lola, Taz, Granny, Bugs, and the rest of the crew. So hope we see y'all at the match.
Hungry for something hot and juicy?
Baby.
Breaded by hand?
Sounds steamy.
Nestled between 2 toasted buns?
Toasty.
The new hand-breaded chicken sandwich from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Feed your happy.
We're changing our look. We're changing to make a difference for a more inclusive future. The one thing we're keeping the same is our great rice. We're Ben's Original.
To make progress, we must keep taking steps forward. We believe the future of energy is lower carbon, and to get there, the world needs to reduce global emissions. At Chevron, we're taking action, tying our executives' pay to lowering the carbon emissions intensity of our operations. It's tempting to see how far we've come, but it's only human to know how far we have to go.
Better sleep means a better you. With Mattress Firm's Rest Assured promise, you can try America's best mattress brands and save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets and get a $300 instant gift good towards sleep accessories. Shop today, only at Mattress Firm.
This isn't just freight. These aren't just shipments. They're promises. Promises of all shapes and sizes. Each with a time and a place they've been promised to be. A promise is everything to Old Dominion because it means everything to you.
New single-serve Fancy Feast Petites are just for her. Just the right size, just the right gourmet flavor. No artificial preservatives or colors. Just what she needs. Just what you want. New Fancy Feast Petites. Love is in the details.
In 2005, Dr. Pepper sent 3 flavorists into a vault to perfect the impossible. Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Today, they finally emerged.
We did it!
23 flavors with 0 sugar.
What took so long?
Huh?
What took so long?
We sacrificed
complex
years in
process.
the vault.
I haven't seen my family in 16 years. My boy's become a man.
Here, son.
It's perfect, Daddy.
It's worth it.
The zero you deserve is finally here.
Well, all right, everybody. I said it's Get down. I said, clap your hands. Everybody clap your
Ideas exist inside you, electrify you. They grow from our imagination, but they can't be held back. They want to be set free, to make the world more responsible and even more incredible. Ideas start the future, just like that.
And Doug.
Hey, Limu. How great is it that we get to tell everybody how Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need? I mean, oh, sorry. Whoops. Oh, good evening. Oh, meow. Nope. Oh, what? I'm an emu. No, buddy. Buddy, it's a filter. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Craving something wild? I'm an animal. Hot and hand-breaded? Grr. A sweet maple glaze? Whoa, waffle. The new hand-breaded chicken and waffle sandwich from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. Available all day. Feed your happy.
Back here, first things first, talking Suns Lakers. So Lakers needed a win to stay alive, and they just couldn't get it. LeBron James leaving the court, skipped out on any handshakes. Saying, feeling the pain of his first ever first-round defeat. We got 13-year NBA vet and host of the Knuckleheads podcast, Quentin Richardson, here to break it all down. Q, good morning. So, what happened last night? What do you think was the biggest reason the Lakers lost this game to the Suns? Inspire, tell us, inform us.
The biggest reason for me was Devin Booker. Devin Booker came out there, man on a mission, said, I'm not trying to go back to Phoenix and have a seventh game. He like you said, the 22 points and 6 3-points in the first quarter set the tone, and he was there to put them away.
All right, well, Q, let me throw it right back at you. For me, quickly, it's AD. AD, the biggest reason. I've been saying it all year. Inconsistent, his play when he was healthy, and then the health concerns. Every time he touches the court, it feels like something's nagging, something's going on. And then the second thing is the Suns. The Suns, to me, were the better team. When you look at, the last 2 games, you had 8, and then you had CP3. They didn't even hit double digits, but then you saw the others. You saw, the bench step up and play big. Crowder played big last night. So for me, they were the more complete team when you look at what the Lakers was dealing with. LeBron James and the ankle coming in, and then AD, the inconsistency there. So I want to get your thoughts here with AD, because to me, there's a bigger conversation here. I don't know if I've ever seen a superstar in any sport, maybe outside of, golf and tennis, but team sports, football, NBA, WNBA, I've never seen a superstar. I don't remember seeing a superstar having a bad year. You can have a bad game. You can have a bad stretch, but a bad year, it seems like AD had a bad year and taking the injuries out. So give me your thoughts on AD and what he could potentially be dealing with.
When I look at AD, I think for me, his biggest problem was his health. I think, when AD is healthy and he's really healthy and ready to go and ready to roll, there's not many people in the entire NBA that could do anything with him, man. I think this year the biggest thing was his health. I think that quick turnaround from the bubble and them playing and winning the championship and playing the longest amount of time, them in the Heat, and then coming back and turning around that quickly, I think that really was detrimental to the Lakers. Like with LeBron, you never see LeBron get hurt. And I think, obviously with his age and that quick turnaround, we saw that happen. And I think Anthony Davis, suffered to the same results, man. He never really got straight healthy. He was always had something nagging him and things like that. And that could be tough for players sometimes.
So you mentioned LeBron's injury, and to me that's the answer. The biggest reason the Lakers were eliminated by the Suns is the biggest advantage they had, the advantage that they had last year, more so than Anthony Davis playing well, is they had playoff LeBron James, and they didn't this year. This was the worst playoff series LeBron has had in his entire career outside of the series against the Mavs, which was the lowest point of his entire career, where he got seemingly too far in his own head, and that is still to this day, a decade later, brought up as the biggest blemish on his resume. I think for LeBron, there's a few ways to look at it. Wilds, one is he's year 18, 60,000 minutes, playoffs and regular season, age 36. This is what happens. The other way to look at it is this was not the type of injury that you're like, age did this to him. Soft tissue injury, couldn't recover from it. Yep. Solomon Hill hurtled into his ankle. I don't want to call it a freak injury, but it was that injury would have happened if Solomon Hill fell that way into any player in the league's leg. They all would have suffered some type of serious injury, some worse than others, but I don't think anybody comes away from it, just tightens up the laces, and is unscathed. So the question is LeBron James moving forward going to look more like the LeBron James from the playoffs from just 9 months ago, or the LeBron James from this series? Because if it's the LeBron James from this series, that is still a very good player, but can't be the best guy on a champion. Like, LeBron from this series is not good enough to be the best player on a champion. LeBron from 9 months ago obviously was. It's not speculation. We know it. So if you think this is what LeBron's going to be moving forward, then Anthony Davis must not only bounce back, but get even better than he was in the bubble. If you think LeBron is going to get back to where he was pre-ankle, then no, I apologize. Then you just need Anthony Davis to not be hurt all the time. And so that's the deal for the Lakers right now.
Hard thing to ask for.
Yeah, so the bubble, I think, took a toll on everybody. It was 71 days off. Now the Heat are gone. The Lakers are gone. Brad Stevens even mentioned the bubble. The bubble was rough on them. Mike Malone has talked about how tough the bubble is. And Quentin, I don't think it's a coincidence that the teams that are thriving didn't spend that much time in the bubble. The Nets didn't. Well, the Nets went to the bubble. They're a whole different team. KD didn't play. Kyrie didn't play. The Suns were hot in the bubble, but they didn't actually make the real playoff bubble. They just went 9-0. So I think that layoff is really starting to show its head right now. But I want to get back to LeBron. As your career age, and you were always a good shooter, were you like, you know what, I can't do what I used to do. I need to change my game significantly. And do you see LeBron from what you saw in this series turning into old man LeBron? Seems like an insult, but I don't mean it to be. LeBron more distributing, LeBron out at the 3-point line, and we don't see the old with no regards for human life, dunking LeBron he sucked the air out of the building, LeBron, of these monster dunks. Do you think that that's the LeBron that we have coming up next year?
First, I would never compare myself in the way I played to what LeBron James does on the court anyway. I wasn't that type of player. wasn't that gifted and able to do that much, and wasn't asked to do that much. So that's first. But as far as him, I think it would be unfair and almost disrespectful to LeBron to think that what we just saw from him, coming off a high ankle sprain without enough time to really come back and completely heal, I think it would be unfair and disrespectful to think that this is what it's come to for him. And I think we all know how hard he works and how he takes care of his body. And once he gets this full summer, and like you said, him leaving in the first round, this is one of the longest summers he'll ever have, since however long ago. And I think he's going to take full advantage of it, go and get healthy and come back with a point to prove. Because I think of everybody, LeBron is very aware of things being said and how the optics of things look. And LeBron he's King James, and he wants to continue to lead and continue in championships. So I know he's going to go this summer and he's going to bust his butt and he's going to come back like a man on a mission.
Right. And look, just to cap that off with the LeBron talk, man, Nick is 100% right. when a player's aging and you see them where it's over the soft tissue stuff. A guy dive into his ankle. We're talking about ankle sprain, high ankle sprain. That's not, you can't judge him off of that. And then this whole AD thing, the AD thing, we're making excuses for that. No, man, CP3 got better this year. We saw what CP3 did in the bubble. That was emotional for him to fight the way he did, and they were clutch. And then all of a sudden this year, he still picked it up. He had a couple of weeks off. You saw as soon as he went to the Suns, he was right in the gym with the guys preparing. Embiid got better. How does Embiid go from where he was, only having 70 days off, and improving in every single category? LeBron got better. Look what LeBron did. We're talking about a guy who has more miles than anybody in the NBA history, and he was shooting the ball like he was Ray Allen. He got better. And then Joker, who's going to be the MVP. The Joker got better. The Joker is unstoppable. So I think this whole talk about the bubble is an excuse. You don't see superstars have bad years.
So Brandon, AD was kind of hurt last year, and then we started to hear about the calf and the Achilles and then the knee and then the back and then the groin. Don't you think that those things are all connected with sort of like the foundation worry for him being the Achilles, especially after we saw so many guys, blow out their Achilles and miss the year? Don't you think that was in the back of his mind and kind of perhaps compensating for that led to these other injuries?
And look, I think that's part of the problem. And I'm a player, so I'm never going to go out there and bash another player for being injured. Like, I had 6, 7 surgeries. I was hurt all the time, and you had to find a way to go out there and still compete at a high level. But I think there's a difference between guys, who push through and fight, and then there's some guys, like, every little thing they feel, they got it. Oh, I need a day. Oh, I can't practice today. I can't go. And so I think that's why this narrative that Charles Barkley kind of started, it may be unfair as far as street clothes AD, right? Like, you saw him in the bubble last year when he hit the ground, winter, everything hurts. I don't know if I can go. And then all of a sudden he's back in the game. You see LeBron James walk by him, don't even help him up. You can see the frustration on LeBron James' face at times in a bubble. So I think that's the difference, is more so the mindset. Hopefully he go move in with LeBron James, Jenna. Okay, he get a room in the basement and he adopt all his principles, all his methods, so he can bounce back, because LeBron James need him. Those two together, they can still win another title or two. But you need AD to be the AD in the bubble. And I disagree with you, Nick, there on he has to be better. He just need to be the AD in the bubble, Jenna.
Also, when you're in and out of the lineup, there's no way to get any momentum whatsoever, and I think that's what led to part of AD's issues this entire season. Quentin, before we go, I want to talk about your podcast, Knuckleheads, with Darius Miles. Tell us what we can expect in Season 6.
A lot of the same, man. Real conversations with a lot of the guests that we got on. We take pride in them being comfortable, man. They come on and it's like they talking in the locker room on the bus of the plane, man. I think this season, top to bottom, probably the most complete season we got with the list of guests we got. We got some everything, man. Some Hall of Famers, some superstars, some really cool guests and some conversations. We got Dr. J. We got Sugar Ray Allen, man. We got Monster Mash Firm.
Nice.
Big Dog Man Robinson, Bradley Bill, Donovan Mitchell. We got Lisa Leslie.
Everybody.
Should have asked who did we get.
Yeah, man. We
all the Lakers are available too, Q. If you need to. If you need to tell your book, all the Lakers are available. So maybe have the booker call up, the Lakers PR staff. They're all available. They got nothing to do. So it's just a free idea.
We appreciate your time, Quentin.
Let's go.
Much appreciated. We gotta keep rolling here on a Friday morning, talking some Phoenix Suns. Can they stay red hot, win the West? Check out the scene in the locker room after they close the Lakers out.
Straight up, 10 years ago, dog, I played for mine. Yeah. Right? 2-7 series, man. Coach, we lost 4-2, right? Right back where we was. It's the same team. Congrats. Coach been coaching a long time. His first playoff series win.
for something hot and juicy?
Maybe.
Breaded by hand?
Sounds steamy.
Nestled between two toasted buns?
Toasty.
The new hand-breaded chicken sandwich from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Feed your happy.
We all have different names, different lives, and different stories to tell. But family isn't always about where you come from. Sometimes it's about where you're going. We might not recognize each other walking down the street, but driving down it. And even though we don't look alike, deep down, we all share the same spirit of adventure. There's only one family and one community quite like ours. Jeep, there's only one.
It feels so good to be cared for. Back up now, just a little more. The feeling someone's always there, just to show how much they care. The feeling you're not alone. Now she's a part of your home, with so much to protect each day. Caring goes a long, long way. Nationwide is on your side.
Your house is your future. Protect it from unexpected expenses. Leaf Filter prevents damage to your home and keeps loved ones safe. Because at Leaf Filter, your safety is our priority. You're at home and see things that need work, but gutter cleaning is dangerous. With Leaf Filter, you don't have to climb a ladder to clean your gutters. Protect your home and your future. Call us at 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit getleaffilter.com for a free estimate.
If Nathan Adrian hadn't forged his will in the fire of competition, he never would have had the courage to face his greatest obstacles. If he settled for winning 8 medals for his country, he never would have continued swimming despite a cancer diagnosis. And if he didn't push himself to train, even through treatment, he wouldn't be back on the world stage, fighting to win again. That's the fighting spirit. That's what makes a lion. Modelo, root for those with a fighting spirit.
Excitement is building for the Girl Scout Thin Mints Blizzard exclusively at DQ. It's an iconic combo of pieces of Thin Mints cookies, Cool Mint, and world-famous DQ vanilla soft serve. Every bite is a sweet feat of ingenuity. Get it delivered at DQ.com.
Copa America, June 13th on Fox and FS1.
It's a monumental main event. When Roman Reigns, Cousins, the Usos challenge Rey and Dominic Mysterio for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. It's an all-new Friday Night SmackDown live at 8 Eastern tonight on Fox.
On Sunday, don't miss your chance to win $10,000 of Clint Boyer's money during the NASCAR Cup Series race. From Sonoma, download the Fox Bet Super 6 app. Answer 6 questions about Stage 2 for your shot to win. It is cool, Brandon. Talking some Suns Lakers Game 6 now.
Those Wilds.
Oh, Wilds. You know, I got a little cold. I'm having a hard time hearing. But you know what? Sounds good. Either way, it was cool. Devin Booker, lights out. He was cool. 47 points last night. Suns got the win. Lakers are eliminated. They are left wondering what went wrong just one season after winning the title in the bubble. Nick Wright, with the Lakers out, who do you think should be the favorite to come out of the West?
So I'm conflicted here, Jenna, because I said before the Lakers-Suns series that I thought these were the two best teams in the West. The Lakers won and the Suns two. And so one would think that I would say, okay, now the Lakers are out and the Suns beat them and beat them handily. The Suns should be the favorites. But I am concerned, unfortunately, about CP3's ability to make it through 2 more rounds. And it sure seemed like, this is a failure by the Lakers, that he was clearly not going to shoot threes, and he was clearly not 100%, and the Lakers didn't adjust their defense accordingly. They did kind of, but they should have been doubling off CP3 repeatedly in games 5 and 6, and they rarely did. So as much as I would love to see Chris Paul break through, I don't think he's going to be able to hold up for another 12 to 14 or so brutal playoff games. So I am going to go with the one team in the West that hasn't actually made round 2 yet, and I'm going to say the Mavs. I do think that year 2 in the playoffs, age 22, one-man show, Luka Doncic is going to do what LeBron did in that exact scenario nearly 15 years ago, where age 22, year 2 in the playoffs, no all-stars around him, just comes onto the scene and announces himself, I am the best player in the league. That's what LeBron did in 2007. I think that's what Luka is going to do over the next month. I think he's going to announce himself as, I am not one of the best players in the league. You should consider me the best player in the league, even at age 22. And I think the Mavs are going to come out of the West now, Jenna.
And with that, we welcome in Antoine Walker. Antoine, good morning. I'm sure it was a late night for you as it was for all of us. Nick Wright's got the Dallas Mavericks now taking control of the West. What say you? Who do you think all the focus is on now? You also had the Lakers.
I did have the Lakers. I thought they were going to be healthy enough to make a deep run. But right now, it's got to be the Utah Jazz. They got a chip on their shoulder after being eliminated in the first round last year after being up 3-1 against Denver. Looking at how they played that first series against Memphis. Memphis is a tough young team. And they have all the pieces. They're fairly healthy. We don't know how serious Mike Conley injury is. He was playing great. So if he's healthy and able to shake this hamstring, the little mild hamstring he has, I like Utah to make a deep run. They're the best team defensively, I think, left in the playoffs. Rudy Gobert commands great attention and great in the post where he's able to score as well as be a defensive stopper. And Donovan Mitchell is coming into his own. If you watch the first round of that playoffs, 28 points a game, just the way he's been able to be aggressive after sitting out the first game, coming off entry, he's only getting better. People got to understand he missed the last 6 or 7 games going into the playoffs. So he's just now starting to get his legs up under him. I like they've got every position filled. They can go 10 deep, and they can shoot the 3-ball. One thing you got to know about Utah Jazz, they shoot the 3-ball from just about every position. I like the Jazz.
Well, you go back to what you said. You mentioned defense, and someone told me that defense wins championships. And unfortunately, Lakers came into the playoffs with the #1 defense, and they got bounced in the first round. So please miss me with all that defense stuff right now. Unfortunately, this question doesn't work for me, team. The producers, I need to talk to the producers because it doesn't work. You know, even if the Lakers won last night, my answer doesn't change. Go back to our show from November 24th. It hasn't changed since then. It's the Clippers. I know they're down 3-2.
Oh, no!
I'm doubling down. You know I am. You know I am. Please.
Their season ends in 12 hours. Their season's, they're going to last one day longer than the Lakers. If Brandon's going to say the Clippers, I want to amend my answer. I think the Lakers are coming out of the West. I'm amending it. Brandon, you just stick with the Clippers, and then I'll stick with the Lakers. Because they got the same chance.
No, get out of here. Beat it. Wows, this is what's going to happen. You have Luka, who's sensational, and I love what Nick said. He can possibly, make a statement, say, consider me now as the best player in the NBA. But here's the deal. He's tired. He just had a phenomenal night. I don't think he's going to be able to do that again tonight. All right? So I see them going to Game 7, and I'm going to lean on the experience in Game 7 with Ty Lue, with Kawhi, this is no more playoff P. That's done. And you have playoff Rondo. So I'm going taking the series to Game 7, and I see them coming out of it.
Okay, to support you, and I'm going to throw it to you, Nick. You know who's got a big I told you so medal right now? Ty Lue. He's why I told you. I told you. And the Clippers weren't going to play the Lakers in the first round, but they knew, but if you lose those 2 games, like, the theory was right. Let someone else knock the Lakers off. And then we can sort of ride to the championship. Now, maybe it hurt them. Maybe it put them in bad momentum, and they ended up sort of losing a little bit of confidence. But I don't think any team is happier than the Clippers to see the Lakers go home.
You got it wrong.
Emotionally,
Why, they're going to share
the Clippers
a vacation rental? With them? What are you talking about? The Clippers could have been playing the Blazers. They could have been playing the Blazers. They were so afraid of the Lakers that they opted for Luka. Go ahead. Sorry.
I know, but they know now. They see the path open for them. That's why they are emotional. We know that they are an emotional team, and no team in the West is happier than the Clippers. I think the Clippers, Antoine, could be happier than the Suns that the Lakers lost. I think the Clippers are
Before we go to Antoine, because if you're just tuning in, I want America to know something. Wilds wore that ugly tie to troll me because he said it's Suns colors. All morning, he's been trying to get me amped up. All morning, he's been trying to get me angrier and angrier because he knows I'm in a frail mental state right now. And I want the audience to know, while Wilds appears to be a likable guy, he's a total fraud. Because when Antoine said the Jazz, Wilds was like, yes, finally, someone promoting the Jazz.
Right.
And Wilds yesterday on Twitter, I'm reading it now, in the take economy, there's no more undervalued take. And then it went on to talk about why the Jazz are going to win the West. And then he just, at the moment he could do it, just crumbled. You wanted to take the Jazz. You think it should be the Jazz. No. You're tweeting, if only someone on sports television would pick the Jazz. You're on sports television, you idiot. Pick the Jazz. Do it. You want to do it. Antoine did it.
Okay, look. Just for the record. All right, I'll be with you. But there's 2 ways to make takes or picks. You can take a pick on what you really believe, or you can be smart and say, what's good for me? What's good for my career? What's the take that nobody has? Oh, does someone have the Jets winning a game? I'll take that one. If no one's got it, I'll take it. It's an undervalued take. So now that Antoine's got it, well, what's value in me taking it? Nope, no way. So Antoine, that's yours. That's now used. I don't get any credit if I take the Jazz.
Go Antoine.
That's the way it works, Jenna. That's showbiz.
Hey, Brandon. I like the fact you want to be a man of your word and stay with the Clippers. The Clippers are not very good. They're going to be eliminated. It's unfortunate. Their 2 superstars don't want to guard Luka. You know how this goes. It's unfortunate. They're gonna be eliminated. But you just got to look at the teams that's left, and it's very tough. And I know people probably like, how you don't pick the Suns? They just beat the NBA champ, but they beat the NBA champs that were very hurt and not 100%. So I don't think they're good enough to beat Utah. I think Utah was the best team all season long, obviously record-wise. And if you just look from top to bottom, the key ingredients to win the championship now in the NBA, they shoot the 3 very well from every position. They have a go-to guy, Donovan Mitchell, and they are the best defensive team left. They still play traditional basketball with a traditional center, and they're able to defend anybody in the league. So you still have to like the Utah Jazz to come out. And the only team that possibly could have beat the Utah Jazz in the 7-game series was probably the Lakers because of their size. They could have implemented that size on them. So Utah will come out the West right now. I think it opens up for them. And they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. I think they really are down. And I remember I said this. As the playoffs goes along, there's going to be more and more fans creep up in these arenas. Before it all said and done, we'll have sellout arenas. And that's going to benefit the Utah Jazz. I don't know if you guys ever been to Utah, but they got great fan support.
Thankfully,
and that place can be definite.
Not planning to either. But I'll take your word for it.
It's definitely.
All right, we got to take a turn. Game time ran out last night. His Blazers getting bounced last night in Game 6. Could his days in Portland be coming to an end as well? We discuss next. This is First Things First.
Tonight, pro football continues with the Spring League on FS1.
And dives to the house.
These young, hungry, rising stars look to prove themselves in this no-gimmicks pro football league. The Spring League continues tonight at 8 Eastern on FS1.
Craving something wild? I'm an animal. Hot and hand-breaded? A sweet maple glaze? Waffles. The new hand-breaded chicken and waffle sandwich from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. Available all day. Feed your happy.
We're changing our look. We're changing to make a difference for a more inclusive future. But one thing we're keeping the same is our great rice. We're Ben's Original.
If sweat is your body's natural way of cooling itself down, then condensation is a beer's natural way of saying, drink me. Michelob Ultra, now with a new look.
We've never been so ready to get back out there. And with Copper Tone Sport, we can reclaim the boulders, the backwoods, and the breakers. Copper Tone Sport. Find your sun.
To make progress, we must keep taking steps forward. We believe the future of energy is lower carbon, and to get there, the world needs to reduce global emissions. At Chevron, we're taking action, tying our executives' pay to lowering the carbon emissions intensity of our operations. It's tempting to see how far we've come, but it's only human to know how far we have to go.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/home.
We think it matters where meat gets its start, like a pasture, serving grass a la carte. Hand cut to grow like a pro. Well marbled and juicy. Whoa. At Whole Foods Market, we raise our meat right. Show-stopping taste in every bite.
People today, they could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your corner. A friend like AARP. So your health lives longer.
This is just slow-mo karate?
Just slow-mo karate.
Your money lives longer.
I just bought that. I just sold that.
And your happiness lives longer. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
After being locked in that vault for years, we've finally done it. Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar. Ralph?
So is this why you never texted back?
Yes, that's why.
I would have understood. Oh, it's perfect.
I know. I made it.
We made it.
We made it.
She made it. Group project. She made it. Is this the guy?
The zero you deserve is finally here.
Hungry for something hot and juicy?
Maybe.
Breaded by hand?
Sounds steamy.
Nestled between 2 toasted buns?
Toasty.
The new hand-breaded chicken sandwich from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Feed your happy.
You would know.
Time now for But First. Back here, first things first. Yesterday, guys, we learned that Bruce Arians actually consulted with Tom Brady ahead of this year's NFL draft. He talked about wide receivers. I'm going to finish getting dressed while I'm talking to you. Think about it. Bruce Arians is like, well, who do you want, Tom? Who do you like? How fast? How tall? You want AB? We got him. Oh, do you need Gronk? We'll get him. You got it, no problem. 3 downs, 4 downs. It doesn't matter if you don't know. We're fine. Did you almost toss the Lombardi in the water? Don't worry about it. You got drunk at the parade, had to be helped off the boat. We love you, buddy. We love you. Let's compare that to the Green Bay Packers situation with Aaron Rodgers. So Rodgers walks into management. He's like, hey, guys, would it all be possible if maybe, just off the top of my head, as a quarterback, I'm just spitballing here, thinking out loud, maybe I can get somebody in here that I can throw the ball to. Say like, oh, I don't know what wide receiver, any pass catcher. I'll take anybody that'll catch the ball. Would that be something that maybe we can, they're like, hey, Aaron, not only aren't we going to do that, we're going to draft your replacement. And we're not even going to tell you. And subscription into Lambo. Good luck. We'll see you next week at minicamp. Bye-bye. Get dressed.
You know, a lot of people sent me notes saying, crush Nick, destroy Nick. I'm tuning in to watch you stomp on Nick. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I'm a nice guy.
Do it.
I am going to offer up some alternatives for our old buddy Nick Wright since his basketball season is over, although he's trying to transfer some of his love to Luka unsuccessfully. Here's a highlight, Nick. Chiefs, your new first-round draft pick, throwing it to Tyreek Hill. Granted, the celebration didn't work out because Tyreek can't do deuces anymore because he got that stolen from him in the Super Bowl. So that's a good highlight. That's coming soon. Here's another play that's coming soon. You like this guy, too. DeAndre Hopkins. Look at this. Boom, behind the back. Also wearing a baseball cap. You know it's serious when football players are wearing a baseball cap. We're still a little far away. And Brandy, when you get a compliment out of Brandon Marshall, that's good too. And how about finally, our old friend, Mr. Eat Your Kneecaps. We're going to actually be pretty good this year. Dan Campbell is going to serve as the Grand Marshal of the Detroit Road Race. He showed up with a helmet. So look, I know things look dark, Nick, right now as the Lakers were humiliated. We're embarrassed. They didn't show up. But football is around the corner, my friend. So I just wanted to give you a little NFL appetizer to whet your palate.
You'll be
for
okay.
a great season that is around the corner.
And I will take that baton right from you, because you're right. Football season is right around the corner. And my football team is quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes. And your football team is quarterbacked by who now? Is it Mac Jones? Is that who you're running with?
Super Bowl.
I'm just curious.
There we go.
But Brandon just had someone bring
What about my football team?
Brandon just had someone bring him pre-workout right before the show, right before the segment. Someone send that to Mac Jones.
To go through all your football teams. Drawing a blank. Dame Lillard and the Blazers got eliminated by the Nuggets last night in Game 6. Dame posted a Nipsey Hussle lyric on IG after the game, said, quote, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation?" Hey, Brandon, Dame's IG post was blank.
Yeah, facing reality, Jenna. I think that's what he's doing right now. You know, I remember some key moments in my career. I played 13 years. I never made the playoffs, and I wanted it extremely bad. I remember playing in Chicago, playing against Aaron Rodgers up there in Soldier Field, and I'm not trying to make this about me, but I played a great game. And then all of a sudden, I see Aaron Rodgers find Randall Cobb, and he goes for 60, and he absolutely ends our season. And then I moved to the Jets, and the Jets, you know, did the unexpected. We won 10 games, and all we had to do is beat the Buffalo Bills, led by Rex Ryan, led by Rex Ryan. And we go up there, I'm looking on the sideline, my guys were just cold. I was listening, I couldn't even say anything to them. I just shook my head and just kept balling, doing what I had to do. So I think Dame is just facing reality finally.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Brandon's right. I think this is it's unfortunately ominous for the Blazers. I don't think it was about Game 6. Game 6, Dame could have been better. The team, I mean, they were up 14 points late in this game, and they just collapsed. I think it's about Game 5. I think Dame went home after Game 5 and said, really?
That's right.
Really? 7th most points in the history of a playoff game. In the overtimes, I was 6 for 8 for 14 points. Or was it 17 points? Whatever it was. I think 17 points. My teammates were 1 for 14 for 2 points. CJ stepping out of bounds. Covington's missing dunks. But how do I forget winning a ring as just a chance to win a ring? So Dame has been loyal almost to a fault. And if I'm a Blazer fan, this is a little ominous to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we have to start looking around at nice homes for Dame. I like him going to the Warriors. He's from Oakland, so I like that. I like him go to the Pelicans, like you mentioned. That would be cool. Team up with Zion. But you know what? In Game 5 of Knicks Hawks, there was a Dipset concert. Halftime. What about we do a Dame Lillard Dipset remix? Come to Madison Square Garden, my friend. You deserve a big stage. You know you'd be great with Tibbs. Julius Randle, what other pieces that we still have left after we ship the lion's share to Portland? Come on over. Pull James Harden. Let's go. James Harden. Come on over to New York. It works out. No, not to the Nets. Not to
Glory's gonna be rocking. Come on, Dame.
Okay, good.
All right, we're back talking LeBron James. Okay, so how is LeBron's legacy going to be impacted by his first ever first-round exit? I am clearly choked up about it. We'll talk about that next. This is First Things First on a Friday.
Why? He got closer to MJ.
We all have different names, different lives, and different stories to tell. But family isn't always about where you come from. Sometimes it's about where you're going. We might not recognize each other walking down the street, but driving down it. And even though we don't look alike, deep down, we all share the same spirit of adventure. There's only one family and one community quite like ours. Gee, there's only one.
Think about what you could think about when you're not thinking about weeds.
It would be cool to ride a horse on the moon.
Kill weeds to the root with Roundup ready-to-use weed and grass killer with Sure Shot Wand.
After being locked in that vault for years, we've finally done it. Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar. Ralph?
So is this why you never texted back?
Yes, that's why.
I would have understood. Oh, it's perfect.
I know. I made it.
We made it.
We made it.
She made it. Group project. She made it. Is this the guy?
The zero you deserve is finally here.
If Nathan Adrian hadn't forged his will in the fire of competition, he never would have had the courage to face his greatest obstacles. If he settled for winning 8 medals for his country, he never would have continued swimming despite a cancer diagnosis. And if he didn't push himself to train, even through treatment, he wouldn't be back on the world stage, fighting to win again. That's the fighting spirit. That's what makes a lion. Modelo, root for those with a fighting spirit.
And Doug.
So then I said to him, you ought to customize your car insurance with Liberty Mutual, so you only pay for what you need.
Doug, can we talk about something other than work? It's the weekend.
Yeah. Hot dog or chicken? Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Craving something wild? I'm an animal. Hot and hand-breaded? Grr. A sweet maple glaze? Whoa, waffle. The new hand-breaded chicken and waffle sandwich from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. Available all day. Feed your happy.
Can these chef detectives uncover the mystery dessert without crumbling?
And they're just slightly terrified.
Crime Scene Kitchen, all new Wednesday after MasterChef on Fox.
First Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Tomorrow on Fox, it's one of the greatest rivalries in sports. Red Sox, Yankees. Whoa! Where Dodgers battle the Braves, you got Cubs, Giants. Tomorrow, 7 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Time now for the weird and the wonderful from our national pastime. And is anyone hotter right now than Fernando Tatis Jr.? 17th bomb last night to the deepest part of Petco, no less. Padres beat the Mets 4-3. Pretty wonderful. Kevin Wildes, what else you got for us?
sometimes baseball just has that. You know what? Let's redo this. Seager thinks he's out, gets tagged in the face. Like, all right, I'll see you later. Like, no, actually, you're safe. This ends up being overturned. The old tag in the face, he ends up leaving, but it's okay. I thought he was going to call him out for leaving the baseline, actually, but no, he ends up being safe. And moving on to the wonderful, we've had some terrible incidents with fans of late. Thankfully, here's a nice one. Joe Kelly playing rock, paper, scissors with a fan from the other day with the Dodgers. So overall, wonderful moment. Oh, look, this kid takes an L. Oh, gosh, and the Lakers. So it's a double L for LA there. So overall, that's the weird and the wonderful from the National Pastime Center.
Good stuff there. We're back talking Suns-Lakers. Game 6 last night. The King and company getting bounced by Devin Booker. LeBron's first ever first-round exit now added to his long and very impressive basketball resume. We got Antoine Walker back with us now, but Nick, let me start with you. How will LeBron's legacy be impacted after his first-round exit?
Well, yesterday I joked that it should help his legacy if they lost, because we know the worst thing that can happen to an NBA player is not missing the playoffs, is not losing in the first round. It's losing in the finals. It's winning 3 rounds and then losing in the championship round. And if that sounds absurd to you, it should, because it's obviously a ludicrous contention. Yet it's one folks have made to disparage LeBron for the better part of a decade. And so should losing in the first round help his legacy? Of course not. But it does crystallize how remarkable it's been that he hasn't prior to this loss in the first round. Michael Jordan, who is the standard everyone holds LeBron against, oddly, the folks need to realize if you want to make an argument LeBron's not the GOAT, you should actually compare him to Kareem. The Kareem argument's the stronger one versus LeBron, but that's neither here nor there. Michael lost in the first round 3 times. And I know my buddy Kevin Wilde's going to be like, but it's not fair because those teams were better than Michael's. Okay, so how did Michael look in the playoffs then at this point in his career? Well, we'll never know because Michael didn't make the playoffs after year 13. Oh, but Michael went to college. What about at his age? Well, Michael didn't make the playoffs after age 35. LeBron, of course, is in year 18 and age 36. And we can go down the list. Like Larry Bird lost in the first round, didn't make the playoffs after year 13. I don't think after age 35. Magic Johnson, aside from the year he came back after the 5-year hiatus, he didn't make the playoffs after age 31 or year 13. He lost in the first round once. Kobe lost in the first round twice. And Kobe's an interesting one. Because Kobe, what would have been this version of Kobe, he got hurt right at the end of the year and didn't play in the playoff series where they got swept out, which would have been his final playoff appearance. KD's lost in the first round. Steph's lost in the first round. Tim Duncan lost the first round 5 times. And none of those guys, except for Duncan, were playing in the playoffs after age 35, and none of them were in the playoffs after year 13. LeBron is age 36, year 18. So, Antoine, if we're being fair, this is a line item on the resume. I don't know that we will be fair about it, at least in the short term, so people will say this will disqualify LeBron from GOAT discussion, even though everyone else in the GOAT discussion or near to it has multiple first-round exits and was done playing by this point in their lives.
Well, Nick, I love the fact that you tried to create all these different stats and things to defend LeBron James getting eliminated in the first round. But the LeBron legacy doesn't change after last night, after him losing. He's still going to be the second best player to ever play this game behind Michael Jordan. That doesn't change with him losing in the first round. But also you got to look at, too, what I took from it in his legacy, it gave me a chance to just stop. He's been so dominant and dominated the league and going to the finals and winning championships, over the last 14 years that it gave me a time to stop and think about LeBron's career and what he's accomplished. And I think that's what we should be celebrating right now. We got an opportunity to watch a guy go on a tremendous run and win some championships and get to the finals 10, 11 times. Incredible. We may not never see that again. So you got to always, be appreciative of that. But also, too, Nick, we got to realize, too,
LeBron James is coming towards the end. The exit sign is on the door. When you look at the last 2 out of 3 years, he's been hurt and he's missed long periods of time. That's Father Time, and LeBron takes care of his body better than anybody we've ever seen. But he got the injury the first year with the Lakers where he missed 20 games. Then obviously he wins the championship in a really weird bubble season. And then this year he missed with a high ankle sprain. So we have to start to think about the exit time. I got a chance to play against Michael Jordan his last 2 years with the Wizards. He was still effective. He wasn't Michael Jordan. I don't know if that's LeBron. If LeBron James is not competing for championships, I don't know what he still is playing the game for unless he's chasing numbers. Oof. So we have to start to think about those things for LeBron. It's at the point now. It's either I want to win championships or I'm going to chase numbers. That's the point we get to with LeBron. And the hardest thing for any athlete, we all went through this, and Brandon, you understand that. When you play, it's hard to leave the game we love, especially when LeBron James is still better than 90% of the league at year 17, 18. So it's very hard to leave. But it's time. It may be time to hit that exit stage left now, Nick. It may be over with. You know, and I don't want LeBron to kill his legacy, not getting to the playoffs, not catching Michael Jordan in the negative phase, getting eliminated in the first round. Leave when you're on top. There's too many athletes that don't leave while they're on top. They always want a little bit more. And I don't know if the Lakers can do that. I don't know if AD's that partner. I don't know if AD's committed like that to do that to help him get another one. So we have to think about those things now. But his legacy is still the same. He's going to be the second greatest player to ever play the game behind Michael Jordan.
So the injury thing, I think, is a good point, obviously. You went 15 years with never getting hurt, and then year 16, he tears his groin. Year 18, he gets hurt again. I do put the groin and the ankle in different categories because that Solomon Hill falls into his ankle. That, to me, is more of a freak injury than an age thing. Now, if you want to argue he would have recovered from it quicker if he wasn't 36 years old in year 18, I think that's a fair point. But Antoine said something wild there that was like totally jarring for me because we're talking about legacies. Antoine, you said you played against Jordan? You played against Jordan when he was a Wizard? So
I played against him when he was a Celtic and a Wizard.
So wait, Wild. Michael Jordan played for the Wizard. How did they do in the playoffs?
He did.
With the Wizards.
He didn't do great, but they
didn't get bounced in the first round. 20 points. Oh, so he had 20 points. Wait, hold on. I'm confused. I'm so confused. Wait, no. Hold on. Wait a minute. Because we're talking legacy, and you just said LeBron's the second greatest player. So Michael Jordan, when he was playing for the Wizards, he had less wear on his tires, less minutes, less games played than LeBron has right now. And they missed the playoffs, and he averaged 20 a game, Wilds, and that's a good that's good. Because LeBron averaged 24 a game in the playoffs that they made.
We don't want to get
and it's the worst
let's
series
look
played.
at the rosters.
I'm just confused. I don't understand.
Let's look at the rosters.
Oh, Jordan didn't have enough help. Oh, he didn't have enough help. Okay, I got it.
No, he did not. Can you name the second best player on that team?
Okay.
Can you name the second best player on the Wizards team? Yes.
Yes. Well, I can tell you this much about him. He scored the same amount of points in the playoffs those 2 years as Michael did, 0. But again, I just forgot. Wild. I'm sorry. I was embarrassed. I'm just embarrassed because I do consider myself a basketball historian, and I had forgotten Michael Jordan played for the Wizards because we would never bring that up to disparage him. We shouldn't do it. It would be rude, and it's unfair. So go ahead and take LeBron. Sorry.
All right, I'm going to take an opposite turn. I agree with Antoine a little bit here that I think yesterday's loss almost helps his legacy because it makes us take a breath and look at everything he's done and not take for granted the fact that he was able to take teams by his lonesome, basically, and carry them through the playoffs. And now he can't do it, not only because he's a little bit older, but he also wasn't injured, but certainly hurt. So I think this could actually cause the world to be like, wow, we always talk about don't take LeBron for granted, but I think now we actually can. But the question I have for you is this, Nick. How much more do you think we have of LeBron being the greatest player in the world? Do you think he enters next year as the greatest player in the world? Because we ended the bubble saying, we want our respect, Rob. Where do you think he places now in your top 10 of active players? Healthy.
Well, I think he goes into next year the same place he went into, not this year, but last year, which is having to earn it all over again. After his first year with the Lakers, Brandon, I still thought he was the best player in basketball. But the national media didn't even think he was the best player in Los Angeles. Kawhi was. And a healthy Durant was better than him. And Giannis was better than him. I think, listen, you earn that title in the postseason. And so I think LeBron, if he wants to be unanimously considered the best player in the world again, he has to go earn it again next year. I think everyone will say a healthy LeBron is one of the 5 best players, but people always have 10 guys in that 5 best player list. So I do think LeBron has to go re-earn it again next season. I think he can, but yeah, I don't think he goes into next season, Brandon, where the consensus is, like it was at the beginning of this season, oh, LeBron's still the best player in the world.
Right. All right. So we're talking legacy, LeBron James. And this is the part of television that I absolutely hate. Look, for me, if LeBron James, if he wins one more title, and it's hard for me to say this because I grew up watching my Right. All right. So we're talking legacy, LeBron James. And this is the part of television that I absolutely hate. Look, for me, if LeBron James, if he wins one more title, and it's hard for me to say this because I grew up watching my team, it's time for LeBron James to evolve, and we saw him do that this year. He was damn near averaging 50% from 3. He doesn't have to go in the paint and get it like that, play after play after play. He should be Magic Johnson. He should be sitting at the top, getting the guys in position, facilitating the rock, just honing down on leadership. AD let this team down. Now, AD got to look himself in the mirror this offseason and figure it out. He got to get himself healthy, and then he also got to bounce back because when he was healthy, he wasn't consistent. He wasn't playing good basketball.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch on AD part, but just to go back to LeBron, what I said, Brandon, you got him early. His legacy did not change because he got eliminated in the first round. LeBron James, to me, and it's obviously everybody has their opinion. I played against both guys. I'm very fortunate enough to be around both guys. I believe LeBron James is the best basketball player that ever played the game, period. Michael Jordan, I'm sorry. Michael Jordan's the best basketball player that ever played the game. I'm sorry.
Antoine. Sorry, it's already viral. No.
No. No.
Sorry, the show ended. We ended the show. We're off. The air now, so I don't know what happened.
But the thing is, LeBron's legacy does not change. LeBron is still the same guy we always love. I think for me last night, I was able to take a breath and appreciate the greatness of LeBron over the last 10, 12, 13 years of what he did. And I was like, man, it's going to be weird not watching him the rest of the playoffs. It was just one of those moments that I just stopped and I was like, man, this is going to be crazy.
Well, here, you shouldn't go down the mountain for playing with the Wizards. Just like to Antoine's point, if LeBron had retired after the bubble, and he was here. If you are now arguing he's further backwards, I think it's insane. I think the idea that you would be better off not playing than playing has never made sense to me. So when Tom Brady goes 5-11 this year, 5-12, it won't hurt his legacy. It'll be fine. It probably won't happen. But the point is, like, you can't go backwards legacy-wise. Like, you are where you are, and you can just build on it, Jenna.
All right, let's
take your handkerchief and get that tear.
No, he's okay. He's okay. We need him. He's got to give out some NBA playoff medals. So get it together, Nick. Let's stick with LeBron. 29-9-7 in last night's Game 6 loss to Phoenix. Doesn't get a medal. Not even a sympathetic medal, Nick. So who did make your playoff podium?
And I was reaching for my handkerchief, Brandon, but I sent them all to Miami to you for the Clippers game tonight because you're going to need them. Bronze medal, Michael Porter Jr.
He's back.
He had an NBA record for about 2.5 hours. 6 first-quarter threes in a playoff game. Wow. Who could ever do that? Well, evidently Devin Booker about 2 hours later. But he gets a bronze medal, 22 in the first. Silver medal, the Joker, 36, 8, and 6. I don't know if you guys, we haven't talked about it, but you've got the league MVP going up against my MVP in round 2. Should be fun. Joker was outstanding against the Blazers team that had no hopes of guarding him. And then the gold medalist, Devin Booker, outstanding. Woo! As I mentioned, he also hit 6 first-quarter threes. He also had 22 first-quarter points. We have a fact error on that. It says he had 47. He actually had 45. The dunk he had with 40 seconds left doesn't count. You're not supposed to dunk it there, Devin. You know better than that. But aside from that, an A-plus, nearly perfect performance. Book gets the gold medal, Jenna. There are the medals. Oh, hey, I like that. Look at Wilds. Little box Wilds.
Hey, there we go.
I'm always on. That might be why I walk up. There are the medals. Hey, look at everybody. There's the medals.
Antoine, as always, thank you so much. That was fun. Disappointing end to season 3 in LA for the King, but should the Lakers be early favorites to win the title next season? Right. We're pushing it forward. Before we get there, though, LeBron's got some summer plans. Take a listen.
I think I'm gonna play for the Toon Squad this summer instead of Olympics. I think that's my focus on trying to beat the Monstars or the Goon Squad, we call them now. So didn't have much success versus Suns. So now I am gearing my attention to the Goon Squad here in mid-July. So I'm gonna let the ankle rest for about a month, and then I'm gonna gear up with Lola, Taz, Granny, Bugs, and the rest of the crew. So hopefully see y'all at the match.
To make progress, we must keep taking steps forward. We believe the future of energy is lower carbon, and to get there, the world needs to reduce global emissions. At Chevron, we're taking action, tying our